Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Today is Sunday. I don't even know what the date is. I'm losing track of time, but it's sometime in December. The month is coming to a close soon. Yesterday was a busy day, and today we are here gathered, as we usually are, as the top 5. And we're here to educate, enlighten, and engage you with some great topics. So I'd like for you, before you do anything else, to please like and share this program with your friends, your foes, with anybody who you think could benefit from such a program like what we have here today. We also have another person who's sitting in with us. Her name is Lavinia Latham, and she's on our panel today. Another beautiful lady joining us from Canada. I'll let her introduce herself. How's everybody been?
Good.
Okay.
Good. Can't complain.
Yes. So yesterday we had our Zoom party. So that was a blast. What do you guys think? Did you guys have fun?
See me looking down.
Oh, I do see you. Are you okay? We can't hear you right now. But in any case, I was just saying everybody looks really nice, and we're like almost in festive colors. Everybody's wearing red. This was not even planned, so I'm just happy that it just worked out this way. You guys are all in red. I'm in gray. I'm in red lipstick. Lavinia's in gold. I mean, we're so in sync now that we don't even have to check on one another. We just know the vibe, and we just feel it.
Yeah,
like what's
the vibe is nice.
Mm-hmm. So what's going on in your neck of the woods,
Gerald?
How was your week?
I just want to say hi to Geraldine. You won last night at the party. I have your gift, Geraldine. Hi, Hardam Tripathi. Hey, Mavis. So Geraldine, at the holiday party last night for Ride Along, you were a winner. So I have your gift for you, and we'll get it to you. I don't know if I am still breaking up. Can you ladies hear me clearly?
Yes.
Better. Yeah.
Perfect.
100%. Yes. No issues here. So Hermelin, how was your week? What's going on in your world?
Oh my gosh, nothing much is going on in my world. I'm back home, as you can see, and I spend most of the day just cleaning and stuff. But what I saw going on in the world out there was I didn't read the article, so when I'm talking about the headlines, because I really didn't have time. But I saw a woman was suing her fiance, her boyfriend. They have been dating for 8 years, and he didn't propose to her. So I was like, what in the culturally crossway am I reading here? So I'm like, what do you guys think? Like, I'm like, how's she gonna prove that unless she had a video of him proposing, promising to marry? Then I don't think she have a case. So she's suitable.
So Hermelin, you're saying that he proposed and then he never fell through with going.
No, she said the article said they were dating for 8 years and he haven't proposed. So I think she's thinking like she wasted 8 years of her life.
8 years, that's a long time.
Time invested.
Yeah.
Time invested. Yeah, he didn't even propose. I was just saying, like,
He was trying to get a PhD in her relationship. That's what he was trying to do.
I think she should have been gone since year 2. I don't think she has a leg to stand on if she were to sue, because what's the harm? I mean, what is the contractual obligation of dating?
Yeah.
You know, we date, we exchange things. I won't go into what those things are.
Yeah.
But unless there was some contractual, which marriage is, some contractual obligation, you know, she should have had him sign to say, I promise to marry you in 3 years. Sign something, put it in writing.
And also, Sunday, let me ask a question. You think like we as women, we are responsible for that wedding day? Like we are responsible for like owing that boat to that side, and if that doesn't happen, like we should just leave like after year 2 or 3? Because I know, I mean, it have to be my choice to be not married, but if I wanted to get married, I would leave after 2.5 years. If I was like 20 something or, you know, early 30s and I wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids, I wouldn't leave it in a man just to wait for him to marry to me.
Yeah. I think, you know, and I'm glad we have a couple millennials on the show today, right? Because I think age is a factor. I think our parents are going to wait for that marriage. I think our millennials, it doesn't have to be this legal where we go to court and sign the papers. I think millennials, and I'll bring our 2 millennials on to talk about what their expectations are. Many millennials will say, look, we can live together, especially in a city like New York City. It's cheaper. Let's rent out this apartment. Let's get one car and let's make this work. So I think it all comes down to the people that are in the relationship, what their expectations are. And I think women nowadays, it doesn't always have to be the ring. For some women, that's important. For others, it's not as important. And let me take the opportunity to shout out Jeremy Dawson. Thank you for joining me from Atlanta.
I would say, as a millennial, I had a timeline. So it was important for me to be married, because with the type of morals that I have, I didn't want to have kids without, you know, finding the person I'm going to be compatible with, that I can actually raise children with. So when I went in a relationship, I definitely had a timeline. I said, for me at that time, I said 3 years, right? And I didn't see it as anything wrong, because to me is that it's either he's not going to agree with it or he's going to agree with it. And if he doesn't agree, hey, it saves me time. So, you know, if you want to be married, I would say definitely tell that person straight up, let them know, so you can understand if they're on the same level with you. So
absolutely agree.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm totally with you on that. Yeah,
so
I feel
introduce yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm just sitting on in here and not introducing myself. So everybody, my name is Lavinia Latham. I am a litigation lawyer, specifically in the area of human rights law here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the sixth. So, you know, just weighing in on this topic. I also, I'm in these spaces as well, talking on these issues. I've got my own little program myself. But anyways, in terms of this particular conversation.
Wait, Lavinia, don't jump over your little programs. Tell our audience what that program is and how they can find your little program.
So yeah, I have a program on YouTube. It's called Fine Natural Hair Rocks. And it's essentially about natural hair, beauty, and lifestyle. And it's just really teaching women and men how to live their best life and, you know, strive to be more with their natural hair, their beauty. Men can be beautiful too, and their lifestyle as well. So I like to consider myself, I call myself the curl-friendly lawyer, and everyone who's a part of my audience is called the Curlfriend Crew. So you can find me on youtube.com/Fine Natural Hair Rocks. But to weigh in on that issue, I have, I guess, like that personal, like I agree with everything that's being said here. I think that number one, you need to go into any kind of a common law relationship with a collective understanding of like, where is this going? So it's not about just shacking up. I mean, for me personally, like I'm also a woman of value. When I decided to, you know, move in, like we're moving in because we're getting married. We're not moving in because we just want to move in, right? I do also believe in knowing what you're signing up for. So that kind of risk assessment piece, understanding that like, you know, I want to know who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And if this doesn't work in the next year, then, you know, it didn't work. That's fine. It's just a year. You move on, I move on, and that's the end of that. But in terms of chilling in a relationship for 10, 15, 20 years, 8 years, and, you know, just waiting for a ring, just hoping, no. You have to put it out there. Listen, like, I'm in this relationship. I see marriage in my future. If you don't see marriage in your future, then please stop wasting my time and let's just call it a day. But I think that communication is key. And yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that for others to weigh in on. But I think it's really important to be clear about what it is that you want. Because if you don't ask for it, if you don't put it on the table, how are people supposed to know?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to take the
Somebody has a
opportunity.
great comment here.
Exactly.
She says, Angela Lady Diva says, some men are just comfortable living with a woman without even being married and say we've been together for a long time so they can say we are married without a ring.
That is so true. And I know like in Jamaica where I grew up, it was common to see two people cohabitating for years. It's almost like you grow up, oh, like they're married, but no, they're just in a common law marriage, which some people might still recognize, but it's not like there was the traditional ring or anything of that sort. And then a lot of times you'll have one person that immigrate, like all of a sudden the man leave, and then that's the end of that. And this woman, in a lot of cases, have been giving of herself, and sometimes their children involved, have been giving of herself for decades. So I definitely love what Lavinia said. Come on, let's have a frank discussion about what the expectations are. And maybe the woman doesn't want to get married. Maybe she's okay with staying in this situation for 6, 7, 8 years, you know, so that's definitely a choice that she or he would need to make.
Right.
Yeah.
The two ladies say that there should be like the general consensus is that after 2 years, 2 years, 5 years, if you're not going the direction that you want this relationship to go in, you should probably make a safe exit.
So look, Doug is saying he disagrees. He has a different point of view about the whole thing. Doug, tell us, what's your different point of view about this whole thing?
I'm curious.
To be honest, I feel like it all depends on the person's age. Now, like I can be like 18 years old and in a relationship. Doesn't mean I'm going to get married at 21, right?
Right.
Right. You know, so I mean, it all depends. Like, you know, you're 28 and then you're like, okay, 28, 3 years, 29, 30, you know, maybe 2, 3 years, maybe maybe 2 years, because I feel it gets harder after, you know, I'm married. So I met my husband, we got married at 28. So I feel like it gets harder after 30. So in my generation. So if you haven't found someone. So, you know, it all depends on, you know, that person's age.
Victoria, I'm vibing with everything you're saying here because I feel like you're 100% right. Like even with like, you know, social media dating, people are hooking up on different apps and stuff like that. Like I'm also married. I've met my husband in law school, but I feel like it's a situation where it's just harder. Like when we met the traditional way, whatever that means, like in person, you go on a date, whatever. Now it's like people are like, you know, swipe left or swipe right or whatever. Like it's, the older you get and the more you get, like, I guess, cemented into your routine and your profession or your job or what your life period. It's just really, really hard to like then pull back. And then maybe at this point, people start having more children, more likely, like, you know, health concerns, whatever, like just life gets more complicated the older you get. And like, I just feel like, yeah, I'm just vibing with everything you're saying.
And I have to say, I'm super impressed because both Victoria and Lavinia are the age of my daughter. So to sit back and hear two beautiful, educated women putting their values on the line, I love it in the age of social media where everything is about shake this, shake that. So for me to sit back and see Victoria and Lavinia taking ownership, two professional women, and saying, look, these are my values. Like, don't play with me. Talk to me. This is what I'm bringing to the table. So I'm going to commend the both.
I love that. I love it.
I love it. Let's applaud. Let's snap. Let's show some love for these two young ladies, guys. They're making me
like that.
And I think Doug wanted to call in. Doug, you can call us 718-701-5720. Call us and tell we, make we hear what you think. Like, yes, they have a different point of view altogether. We love to hear from men what they think about some of the topics we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kawesi Kawesi, let me see if I can put his comment up. He basically said that as a dude, it's easier to hook up and what?
Chase paper.
Chase paper.
Does he mean
Maybe
like
money.
live together and run down money, make money together?
No, not together. I think it's just easier for him to hook up and just and
Like not get married.
Not get married. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's saving money.
Oh.
He's stacking his
Easier.
paper. He's
That's a
stacking
thing, though.
he's stacking his paper. So he's using a person to live with so he can save more money. So if he says deuces, he's like, oh,
Yes.
I think we have a caller on the line.
Caller on the line.
oh, okay, Doug.
Good evening, Doug. It's right along top 5. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, right along.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon,
Good
Doug.
afternoon.
Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
Well, what I as I listen to the program, I am of the opinion that if you're gonna have a successful life and a successful relationship, successful marriage, in my opinion, just my opinion, I think you should live together for at least 5 years or 4 to 5 years to make sure that you want to spend the rest of your life with that person, because sometimes you go and invest all that you have and all your potential future earnings into a marriage, and then you come out, everybody come out bloody. I know,
Doug, where are you calling us from?
I'm in Miami.
And
Right.
what island? What island are you from, Doug?
I am from St. Vincent.
Oh, you're Vinci. Well, thank you for calling. You're Vinci. Welcome and thank you for calling. So, Doug, you're saying 5 years. Doug, you're saying 5 years we should live together unmarried to make a determination if we need to. Okay.
That's long.
That's long, Doug. Wouldn't you say?
No. I mean, I think that is fair to everybody involved, because in these days and these times, this is not my mother and my grandmother generation with it.
Can I say something, Doug? Let me say something to you real quick. Sorry. I just had to, because I had to adjust my headphones just to make sure that I'm hearing you clearly. Because, okay, you said 5 years. Now, as a woman, if I'm 30 and I stay with you for 5 years, that means I'm 35. And then I don't know that if we're going to be together or not. And then I wait another 5 years and I'm 40. And then I missed that whole boat of having a family. I think that's not right.
Okay. Hold up. Don't go. Let me slow it down a little bit, right? Within the period of that time, if you don't know if this is gonna work for you or not work for you, then something has to be wrong with you. You're supposed to know if you could live with this person, with this thing. And he should know if he could live with you or if he wants to live with you within that period of time. That's how I see it. And I think that will help for a stronger, a more and a better relationship all the way down into your old age as you grow older together. That's what I believe.
All right. Thank you for calling, Doug. Thank you for calling, Doug. We're going to respond if you want to hang up and listen to some of the responses, but we really appreciate you listening. And it sounds like we're going to do a 5-year installment. Thank you, Doug.
Hi, Doug.
Okay, I so disagree with Doug. That's 5 years. That's just too much wasting of time. I think a man knows if you want to marry to a woman in 6 months, he might be waiting on certain things to see certain things, but communication is key. Well, you have to keep talking and you have to keep talking and expressing yourself. You can't just wait for him to say certain things so you can say certain things. As Lavinia said, you have to say what you want. And I believe when you communicate what you want, if he doesn't like what you want, then he will just go away. Or if you don't like what he wants, then you just break it up and stop wasting time. 5 years?
I don't even agree with a time period. I agree in moments. There's something that's going to happen in a moment when you're dating somebody. For me, that moment was when I left my now husband. Tomorrow's our 9 years that our wedding anniversary. And the moment for me when I knew, you know what, I'm gonna lock this man down was when I left him to babysit my son and like half of my son's football team while I went to another state. And it was very clear to me that this is someone I wanted to share my life with. So I think there's going to be something, it's not going to be 6 months. It might be a week. It might be 6 months. It might be 5 years. So I think it's those little moments, those triggers that say, this is the one.
I don't know. Like for me, it's just the way how I heard the whole 5 years. What I saw in my head was you get wife benefits and not a wife. So I don't agree with it, period. Like you can't get all the benefits of having a wife and you're not a wife. And then you leave out there empty-handed. I don't like that. And I saw someone said that, oh, well, marriage is not always guaranteed. Well, if you want to think in your mind that marriage is not guaranteed, that's for you. But for me, that's different. Like I'm in a mindset where if I'm going to put things forth in my life that's positive, those things would turn out positive. That's just me. That's how I live my life, and that's how it's been going. So
I feel like a lot of the people who are like saying like we have to be married, or sorry, we need to live together for 5 years, 10, like that's a long time. And like I don't know what people are running from, but here in Canada, at least, there's something called common law status. And after 1 year, the Income Tax Act jumps in, and y'all have to be filing your income taxes together if you're living together common law for 1 year. And then after 2 years, that's when something called case law comes into effect. And if you guys are in a situation where you're making money and she's not, or she's making money and he's not, and it can be proven that somebody is enjoying what we like to call an unjust enrichment, which is essentially, my efforts are assisting you in, and you're gaining.
Thought. I think we have another caller. What's going on?
Wow,
wow, there's another caller.
From the
Caller,
beginning.
this is top
Caller.
five. Go ahead.
Hello, Queens. How are you this evening? You're looking beautiful on the platform.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yes,
so I'm looking at I'm going where the relationship where you're talking about like 5 years. Is the question asking if that's too long?
No, Doug, our previous caller, and thank you for calling in. Doug, our previous caller, stated that women and men should cohabitate, or a couple, let me correct myself, should cohabitate for 5 years before they marry.
No, 5 years is too long. Why 5 years? For me, I mean, a man and a woman, grown man and woman know exactly what they want from each other. From the moment you see someone, this is me. If a man sees a lady and he knows right there in the back of his head if this lady's going to be his wife, and I'm sure us females, we are the same thing. So I'm saying that, you get to know each other probably for a year to 2 years. And then once you get engaged within 6 months to a year, you should get married. But 5 years, why 5 years? I mean,
that's
long.
Yeah, we have a lot of comments coming in here. I just want to call out.
Thank you for calling, caller. And it sounds like Queen. I'm not sure, but it sounds like her.
Yes, Selena Bernard George. She said women allow them to get the cow for free. And
that's what my grandmother said.
Yeah, they won't buy the cow if they can drink the milk for free.
My grandmother said that, and I kept it to heart.
Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Yeah.
5 years of free milk is an absolute no.
No.
Yes.
We're not doing that.
We on the topic for a minute now. Anything going on in anybody else's world?
Too good. This is good.
It's too juicy.
This is so juicy.
I forgot what's going on. I forgot what's going on in my world now.
I know, right? We just so interested in what's going on in that.
You don't even need to know what's going on in my world.
Yeah.
All right.
We can just say show. We can just say, okay, show over.
Exactly. Yes, we have so many comments coming in. Thank you, everybody, for joining the program today. Please continue to like and share. Come and listen. Come and chime in to the topics that we have going on here. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay, we're back from our short break. I see that we have another caller on the line.
Hello.
Caller, are you there? Hi, thank you for calling into the top. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. This is Junior George, the producer.
Oh,
Wait a minute. I'm starstruck. The Junior George from Right Along?
Yes, the Junior George from Right Along.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you for calling, sir. Tell us what you think about whether this woman has a suit or should we live with a man for 5 years as a woman and then decide to get married?
That's what I think, right?
Junior, let me hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Are you guys hearing me?
Yes.
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 Okay, all right. So I think men and women have two different clocks. I think women have
Yes.
that biological clock. In terms of getting married, they have that biological clock that they consider. That men look at it like that. That is their clock, the timeline. In a man case, his clock is his financial. So if a woman reached to a certain age, she will be like, okay, I'm at that certain age and I feel like I should get married. But men don't look at it like that. Men look at it as, am I financially right? So it's two different variables. Men and women look at it from two different aspects. Although one is not more right than the other, but it's just too different. Because a man could be 55 or so, right? And still don't feel that he's financially ready. Because when a man gets married, he's seeing it as the responsibility of being married. You know, you have to bring that woman now. Yeah, or bring a family, start a family. You have to get a house. You have to do all those things, right? And some men are not financially ready. They're not financially ready. But a woman might be like, well, I'm ready because I'm 35, or I'm 25, or I'm 38, or whatever the case might be. But the man is like, I'm not ready. So we have to meet each other where each other at, right? The man have to meet the woman where she's at, and somehow the woman have to meet the man where he's at as well, because we don't vibrate on the same axis. If you get what I'm saying.
And I get what you're saying, but isn't marriage, and some would say then, Junior, then we're supposed to come together as a couple and build everything. So even though you're not there financially, and I think what I've seen is a lot of males using that as an excuse to close the deal. They'll say, give me a couple more years. So isn't the point that we should be working together, man and woman, and kind of build something? And of course, I love that you said it's the man's responsibility, but don't you think you can come to the table a little bit early with the understanding that you've chosen the right partner and we're going to build something together?
Well, right. That's where communication comes in. But that is a block. That has always been a block where communication comes in. Now, men and women, they have to talk and say, okay, well, what are your expectations? You know, in that dating process, that's supposed to be the time where you establish what are your expectations? What are your expectations? And we talk about it. And then we meet each other there. I'm not saying that it takes 5 years to come to that realization. I'm not saying that it should take 2 years either. I'm just that communication is supposed to happen at an earlier stage. Like a woman might be like, okay, I ain't waiting for 5 years before you commit or you engage or whatever the case might be. The man might even be the one that makes the move before, but because he's financially stable and he's ready to make that next move. But the man is not financially able to make the next move. And then the woman would be like, okay, well, I think we should get married. And the man now might be like, okay, well, and he may not be ready enough. And that's where you have problems. The man may not financially be ready, but just to ensure that the relationship continue, the man might say, okay, well, let's get married, knowing fully well that he is not financially ready. He is not emotionally ready. He's just not ready to commit or move on to the next level. Then you move on, and then you have problems because the man wasn't ready, but the woman was ready. He did it for her.
Yes, it's true.
Julia,
really good point.
If I was a 25-year-old listening to that advice, you know what I would be thinking? I'll be saying, okay, if I'm 25 and he's saying men wants to be financially stable, then I'm in my head going to think I need to date a 35-year-old man because then I'm ready now. I'm ready. I need a 35-year-old man because he probably most settled in his financial situation. But I know when I got married at 25, I was thinking about like what fun they said. I was thinking about building. We building together and making the money together. I don't think men ever ready.
Right? That's probably very true. That's probably very true. I'm going to hang up after I sit on that last point.
Or just take over the show, Mr. George.
I know, right?
The Landia Julia show.
You guys show. But I just want to say that communication supposed to be the primary thing. Because if you don't communicate, as a woman and a man come together at the early stage of the relationship dating, and you guys don't communicate and say what my expectations are and what your expectations are, if you don't have that conversation until 5 years down in the relationship, then you obviously will have a problem. Because I don't even know what you want. 5 years down, we haven't even had this conversation. Then it's a problem. So that communication is supposed to happen. And then it might end even sooner because the woman might say, well, I need to get married in the next 2 years. And the man looking at his pocket, he takes out his wallet, he looks at his wallet, and he's like, I have to basically prepare to get married. And you know, you women, and not only you women, but women in general, they want the big fancy weddings. They want the big ring. And
that's true.
And not cheap, right?
Of course.
The man looks at his pocket and he looks at it like, where am I getting this finance? Where am I getting this money to buy this big ring, to put this to create a family in a big house? And of course, I have to get her a car because hey, I don't want.
That sounds exciting. I was gonna say I don't think that's happening in reality.
No, that's
Junior.
not real.
That is not happening in reality. Find me.
Because listen, I've had
a lot of men's mind, they want to go out, they want to go all out because an ex-man don't want. In the man's head, he's like, yo, I want to provide, I want to be that provider, but my pocket is just not have the ability to do that. But anyway, I gotta hang up.
Thank you for calling, Mr. George. I don't know how to respond to that. I think.
I'm so happy we have that communication because he's where I'm at. He knows what he's supposed to do and how you're supposed to provide and what needs to be in order. I read this book by Steve Harvey a little while back. I think it was Think Like a Man, something like that. Think Like a Man.
That's a good book. I love that.
I read the book. Yep.
Yeah.
And in that book, what he was talking about is exactly what Junior is talking about. The fact that men need to feel like they have this sense of control and ability to be a good provider. So when you're pushing, I want to get married. He's just trying to find himself. He's trying to figure out his place in the world. And that is like a major part of what makes a man feel like he's a man. And if he's not ready to do these things as much as you might want it now, because the biological clock is going, you might rush into this relationship. And like Junior said, people will say, okay, well, I'll just do it to please her. And then the whole thing implodes anyways.
Yeah, and I think it's mixed. Oh, we have another caller. Good. So we have another caller. I'm so sorry.
Wow.
The topic is hot.
This is a juicy one.
Caller. Lavinia, I'm going to have you. Lavinia, you can take this caller.
Okay. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes,
we can
you're
hear
live.
All right, so I just wanted to, I guess, chime in and give my perspective on whether or not males should live with females prior to marriage. And I think it's a bad idea for a couple of reasons. One, a guy can get a false sense of security in terms of, but what I mean is, if you're already living with somebody, you're spending all your time with them as if you're married, and he didn't buy you a ring or anything, chances are he's going to get comfortable in that situation. He's already getting benefits, like wife benefits, in a sense.
Yes,
it's going to be less incentive for him to do what he has to do and propose and go down that route. I've had friends that have been in that situation, and they've been living together for probably 9 years now and still haven't gotten married or anything. So it's, I think that it's probably a better idea to just get to know each other and not move in. And once the next step happens where you get engaged and all that stuff, then I think it's appropriate to move in. Personally.
I love your comment. I
That's
think.
my husband.
Oh, nice. Well, hello, Victoria's husband.
Hello,
That
Mr.
fantastic
Levy.
comment.
Hello, Dr. Levy.
Yeah, that was a really great comment. But I want to throw a devil's advocate in this piece. So, wouldn't one want to know, like, who am I marrying? Is this person going to be the person who I want to wake up to? Am I going to be okay with their morning habits or their, just daily habits? There's kind of like a honeymoon stage to things, right? Like people say, oh, I can tell that you're a clean person, or I can tell that you're a person who I'd be okay being with all the time, day by day, because we went on vacation together, or because we spent a week or two on a staycation somewhere, or whatever, right? But I guess the devil's advocate piece that I'm going to throw in here is you really don't know once that that honeymoon stage kind of goes away. So like, what about that? Like, what is it? What can we say for those who move in together and they're like, actually, I hate this person. This person's driving me crazy. Then what?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good point. I still think that, just to throw it back again, I could pretend to be the cleanest dude in the world when you're living with me. And then once we get married, I'm like, look, I'm not doing no more dishes. I'm not like, and then what, So it's, you never know. And I think what the most important thing is just to get to know the person for them. And, nobody's going to be perfect. There's no perfect woman or perfect man out there. And I think as long as you love the person for who they are, no matter what, how messy they are, if they like to throw their socks on all over the floor, or whatever,
Victoria?
you can work through it. That's what marriage is all about. You work through those little things.
Yes.
So,
Love it.
yeah.
Love it.
That's a great comment.
Great comment.
Thank you for calling in, caller. Wow, the men, I think, have taken over the show this week. I love that the men are stepping up to the plate. And Victoria, do you mind if I ask your husband's Caribbean?
Oh, yes, he's Jamaican descent. He's from Toronto.
Hey!
Yeah, to come out.
Love it.
But
Love it.
I love that the men are stepping up and joining the conversation. I think it's powerful because, as Caribbean women, we like to kind of throw shade at the men, to say the men not doing this, they're not doing that, they're not taking care of their family, or they're cheaters. So I'm really glad with the last couple of calls that we've had where men are saying, look, I want to marry someone. I want to make a virtuous woman out of you. I was 36 when I got married, and I didn't live with my husband before we got married. So, I mean, it comes down to to the values of everybody, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that you just have to know what's right for you, because I did it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I got married and I didn't live with the person, and I dated them for 5 years. When I got married to them, I realized that this was not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then in my second marriage, we lived together. We met and things clicked very early in the relationship, and we were living together. And then we ended up getting married anyways, a couple of years later. So it all goes. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule. Communication is number one, and having that connection and knowing that this is the person that you're going to grow old together with, or like you said, you don't care about that in the morning he gets up and he coughs and he makes weird noises and things like this. Not saying I'm talking about anybody in particular. Things like this, you kind of get a chance. I living with somebody gave me the opportunity to really figure out if I wanted to spend my life with this person. So for me, being that it was the second time around, and I was more cautious because the first marriage didn't work well. The second time around, I was like, oh, I got to make sure. I got to check off all these boxes first and make sure, because this is not something I take marriage very, very seriously. It's a union that I take the values, and whoever I'm with, I want them to expect them as I do. So having that time to live together for a year or two really gave me a chance to see if this could be for life.
You know, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, we're just going to welcome those that are joining us. This is Top 5. We have our guest host today, Lavinia, a litigation attorney out of Canada. And we just wanted to let the folks know that we appreciate your comments. I see a lot of comments coming up. Hi, Debbie. Lisa Carper says, I steadfastly refused to marry my second husband. He asked 6 times before I finally accepted. We were living together, but I didn't want to risk what I had gone through after a very destructive and expensive divorce. Sounds like what you were kind of saying, Landy. So just resetting the room. I don't know. We have some other topics. I don't know if we wanted to jump into that, Victoria or Landy. Maybe move on. This was a really good topic. You want to talk about sugar daddies, or what do you want to talk about today? We did have some good topics lined up. So thank you for all the comments.
Randy, we had some topics. What's going on?
The topic that we wanted to talk about today was talk about what was the tagline?
The sugar daddy. That
not sugar daddy.
Shopping while black.
Shopping while black. Shopping while black.
Shopping while black.
Explain.
Yeah. So there was a headline that I came across from Spice, and I don't know how many of us saw this, but essentially she had gone shopping at Walmart, and she purchased a lot of items, I think about 3 carts full, and she's Spice. She's got money, right? So she was doing her thing. She went to the cash register and she went to go pay her with cash. And she pulled out some 50s and she went to go pay her bill just like anybody else. And the cashier started giving her some issues. She started talking about, is this real? The 50 looks strange. This 50 doesn't look like that 50, kind of like giving her like a really hard time, because it's like, well, how could this Black woman have all this money and have it in cash? She must be having counterfeit dollars. And so the crazy part about it is that the cashier was Black. I think the cashier was Black. And so the problem here is, I think we can all see the problem. Like, so what? Because I'm Black, I can't have money? Like, what is going on?
Oh, sorry to cut you off. The thing about it, I was just thinking that sometimes we have these hidden assumptions about people that we don't really realize. And while he was talking about shopping while Black, I remember when I was younger, and this still happens till today. If I'm going into the beauty supply store, there's always someone in the aisle looking at me. So I got so used to that if I'm in a store, I'm holding the items in my hand like this, so you could see,
like openly.
Yeah, that's in my hand, and I didn't realize I was doing something like that until I sat down. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm so used to people always thinking that I'm about to steal something that I have to prove that I'm not stealing.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because I'm Black. So basically, just like you said, I can't have money because I'm Black. I'm supposed to steal. Like, I don't, it's something that could take a toll on you.
Yes, it absolutely could. Do we have the video lined up for this topic? So for those of you who don't know who Spice is, she's a well-known Jamaican singer out there. She's been on one of the
Hip Hop Atlanta.
And she said that she went into the store just like normal, and not looking any particular way. And you shouldn't have to look a particular way. She's out shopping. She doesn't have to be screaming, "Hi, I'm Spice and I have money." She's a Black woman. She's going shopping. She's got money to pay for her items. Why do we always have to be singled out? I've experienced it myself. And it is a very uncomfortable situation. I've experienced it at a well-known bank. And I'm going to call the name out because I don't bank with them anymore. And this was Wells Fargo Bank. Myself, when we had an account there, and every time I went to take money out, I would have to show extra ID. They would have to call the manager. It's like, listen, you don't expect that Black people have money in their bank accounts. I'm coming to get my money. We put money in this account. We've been banking with you. Every time I was made uncomfortable to bank with this bank, and it was one in the city that I used to go to because it was close to my job at the time. We ended up closing the account. I didn't like dealing with them.
Yeah.
That happened to me when I just moved down here to shopping for the apartment or whatever. And you know, I'm accustomed in New
And
York.
I think
Yeah, I was saying something. Just give me a minute. And I was paying with cash, and the woman did that. I had $50 and $100.
And I think we're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, breaking up.
Are we breaking up?
Yeah, breaking up a little bit.
I can hear her, Melinda. Go ahead.
I can hear you.
Who is breaking up?
I think.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and no, I said I believe her because I said that happened to me when I moved down here to Texas. Like being in New York and having to, I just used to use cash all the time. And I went to buy a big ticket item and I had cash. And she said she did the same thing like with Spice. She hold a $50 up, she hold $100 up. She called the manager, she did this, she did that. And I remember like when I told my sister about that, she was like, oh yeah, nobody spends cash anymore. Everybody use a card. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And we have the video.
I stopped using cash and I started using my card.
Yeah.
I believe her.
I believe her too. We're not hearing the sound on the video. Oh.
It's a long video.
Together. But in any case, we have Chrissy Jenkins. She says, my daughter works in retail and they need a manager to approve $50 and $100 bills and can't accept them without confirming legit bills to counterfeit.
See, and this is what we see like all the time, like circumstances like that where, you know, you're shopping while Black and like Victoria was saying, like you have to like hold whatever is in your hand like this to like show them that like you're not stealing anything. And so it's frustrating. Like I feel like, I don't know if you guys are like this, but this is the reason why I started buying Black, because I feel like when I spend my money, it's very hard to make money, number one. And number two, when I spend money, I need to feel good when I'm spending money. Like I deserve that experience. And so I just feel like it's all the more reason, especially when it comes to like natural hair products and beauty and like anything really, because like we're in all spaces at this point. Buy Black.
Exactly.
And I hear you. And I've been through it. And in my early years, I would like curse whoever's following me. I would be like a Spice. Seriously, I would be very aggressive until, you know what, I start to understand where they're coming from. And sometimes it's African Americans who are giving you the juice as well. They're the ones that are following you around the store to make sure you're not putting, I don't know, the toilet paper in your purse, I guess. Yeah. But I definitely agree with saying buying Black and, you know, kind of open the conversation. If this was happening to me at the store and I were Spice, I would say, you know, excuse me, what's going on? And I know it's frustrating because especially when you have your own money and you want to prove it's their own money, I would have a conversation with these individuals because they have their biases. They have their, Rachel Charles mentioned it, the unconscious bias that plays into this.
I think in Spice's case, she could have really gone off, but I think she really held her composure.
She held herself really well.
She said what wasn't really embarrassing for her is that the line was growing and everybody's looking at her like, look, this Black woman coming to Walmart. You know, they looked at her, they already cast her as somebody like she, you know, maybe she's got 5 kids and she's on welfare and look, she's here with her fake money. This is the kind of things that are going through people's minds. So that whole experience, it was, what did she say? She felt away.
She said she felt away because she was like, the woman said to her, the cashier, sorry to cut you. She was like, the cashier was like, oh, you know, I hope you don't feel a ways, but, and she's like, I feel a ways. Like she was going off. She's like, I feel a ways.
And in fact, you know, Spice is a consummate businesswoman because she's been in the studio recording a song called I Feel Away. And I know it's going to take off. And she's starting the I Feel Away challenge where you have to go online and say what you feel away about. And I think it's a good way to take a spin on a topic that is very real. Because one other incident I'm going to just mention, I remember going into a store and it was a store that had expensive, maybe handbags or something. And I asked to look at something, and before the person gave it to me, they're telling me the price. And I'm like, did I ask you the price?
Who asked you?
I asked you the price. I did not ask you. I told you I want to see it. You don't know whether or not I can afford that handbag. You don't know who I am. So don't treat it like that. And these are the things that really make you feel like this happened to Oprah Winfrey years ago.
Yep.
In Louis Vuitton, Paris, I believe.
Yep.
In Louis, seriously?
Yeah.
Yep. You better.
I think it was either Paris or Rome. It was one of those flagship stores, Louis
Louis
Vuitton.
Vuitton is not the highest, so that's crazy. And they
I
don't
know.
know Oprah.
And they don't know who Oprah is. So
You don't
can
know who
imagine
Oprah is?
how do
Only
you
the
not
most
know who
popular
Oprah
Black
is?
woman in the world.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that was something. So that was a great topic for this discussion also, because this is something that as Black women, as Black people, we all experience it. And for those of us who have kids, whether teenage girls or boys, we also keep be very clear about not making anybody think that they have things in their pockets. Because I think I remember that when George Floyd got in trouble, they had thought that he had counterfeit money. If I wasn't,
Oh Lord, they
And
were
it
looking
wasn't
for a
counterfeit.
reason.
and look what happened to him.
And you know, if you have to go to the Louis Vuitton store in Paris, maybe you can get a sugar daddy to kind of.
Yeah,
Yes.
story.
You saw the story about the young men becoming sugar. I thought you had to be of a certain age to be a sugar daddy. Can you just be young, rich, and a sugar daddy at the same time? There was an article out this week. I don't know if any of you ladies read that article about these young men becoming sugar daddies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I never
I see them
seen
on
that.
TikTok.
I used to work at one of those these little boutique stores and at a mall when I was younger.
Mhm.
And I used to see a lot of the sugar daddies coming with their little sugar babies.
Young men?
But they weren't young. I never saw a young one before, but but they were older, and those girls was probably in their early 20s.
Yeah.
And he would be like, yes, babe, just get what you want. Like they would pick up. That used to be a good commission for me. I wasn't complaining because they used to buy everything, and their bill would be like $1,000. I'm like, oh wow, like $1,000, that's crazy. But they're not just being friends. They're doing a little bit more. That's a lot of money spent on someone. So,
It's not a sugar daddy; it's a sugar boy.
sugar boy.
Yeah, but the sugar boy baby is a trend now that's happening, and it's very concerning. Like they don't want to work anymore.
What?
No,
That's-
well,
That's
What do you mean? Hold on, tell us
what
what is a sugar boy?
Sugar boy. Interesting.
What's a sugar boy? Like
I see
he's
Rachel
18?
Charles. I don't know. Rachel Charles posted
Are you-
sugar boy.
Are you talking about like a young man that has an older woman as their sugar mama? I don't know.
No, Victoria, I'm seeing like a lot of
I
these
see
young
that.
men
I see
are
that.
having older men as their sugar daddy. So it's men, older men, younger boy.
So a sugar boy is the opposite for a sugar daddy, and in that a man or woman dates or provides sexual favors for a younger man in exchange for expensive gifts. So a sugar boy is a younger version.
The sugar boys on TikTok say they're not talking about sugar mamas, they're talking about sugar daddies.
Sugar daddies.
Wow.
Well,
Interesting times.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the boys don't want to work anymore. Young people don't want to work at Walmart and stuff, Target.
Oh, you can go throw your goods away.
Like, wow.
I think the article that that Diani's referring to, they were saying that a lot of these younger guys, like in their, so when we think of sugar daddies, you're usually thinking of those men who are like maybe 50s, 60s going on that way, right? So the article was saying that there's a lot of guys who are very on point. They're working in Silicon Valley. They're data scientists. They're techie guys.
Techies.
Right.
They work in the stock market. So they've started early and they're making some good money. So instead of thinking about probably getting married, and they know they got the money, so their thing is like they just spend it on women, and it's okay. And this is a different trend because they're starting off so young with the money that they have to take care of somebody else.
Oh wow.
But that should be the one who's getting married. Like
Exactly, right?
you have the money. Like I thought you need to be secure and all that. Like
I mean,
anyways.
and if you're good looking, you shouldn't have a problem.
But I think what's happening is that they want to taste a lot of different milk.
Oh,
So
different
it's
flavors.
out
Okay, they
flavors.
want different flavors.
Right.
I see
No,
that.
that's nasty.
Yeah. But then everybody's kind of getting what they deserve, right? Because like if the young thing, which is like 19, 20, is just coming in for some money and he's just going to her because she's young and pretty, when his money runs out and her beauty runs out and they're both like angry and exactly like you created your aggravation.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Rachel Charles says, I'm in my 40s. I've worked enough. I'll take a sugar boy. Chrissy agrees with you. Chrissy says it's nasty, Victoria. I mean, I think to each his own. I mean, right?
Just wait, no. They're tasting different flavors, Deani. You don't.
No pun intended, Victoria. But sugar boy, sugar daddy.
Both is nasty.
The whole premise is different flavors.
They're both nasty.
With that whole thing is, I think, like you said, everybody has the right to play the way that they want to play. The thing that's interesting about the times that we're living in now, it's like it's easy to hook up with a sugar daddy. Before you had to go hang out at maybe golf clubs, and like fancy bars uptown, things like you have to position yourself. Now you could go online to like sugardaddy.com like that. And you can find this guy and you can tell him that like I need my tuition paid. I need to get a new car.
No, that's not a bad ask.
I do it for you.
That is not a bad ask. Pay my tuition. That's not bad at all.
I agree with Chrissy and Victoria though. It is nasty because like right now, right? Like number one, you can catch an STI, COVID. And then there's COVID. Like who's trying to catch all of that? Like before it was just like, well, it wasn't just, but it was like, one thing. And now it's like double. Like
right.
Trying to get respiratory infections from like
keep
just
your mask on.
Money.
Maybe, and I think the misconception, and somebody posted earlier that there does not have to be sex involved. Some of it is companionship, and somebody posted a little bit earlier about that.
Well, the thing about it is that some people just like to spend money because they have it, and even somebody's going to buy me the things that I need without expecting anything back in advance. And
that's not many. Most of them are expecting something back. Not everyone's like, oh no, I just want to talk to you on the phone and now your tuition $30,000. They're not gonna just do that.
What some of these girls
they want something. Come on now.
Instead of calling them sugar daddies, they call them sponsors. That's the other word.
Oh, a sponsor. Like,
yeah.
Like you're going to the Olympics or something.
Like that. I like that, a sponsor, or you're coming to the United States.
Opportunity when I was in my 20s.
Listen, Hermie, I was wondering the same thing. I'm like, gosh darn it, I'm 45. Like somebody could have paid my tuition.
I know.
Why did I pay it myself?
I missed these opportunities. I just.
Oh no!
Wow. I have morals like Victoria, so I don't think I would have fallen into that. I was just so like stuck on what I wanted to be married, have a family, and even though opportunities did present itself to me as a nanny, I did not fall for it.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know. I don't know. It's almost 6 o'clock. Like, where do you start?
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
We have some interesting comments here. We have Denise Renee Collins. She says, a home health attendant is cheaper. There isn't that much companionship in the world.
Oh my God.
I'm done with Renee. Renee, I thought the same thing too. Yeah.
That is hilarious.
I think, I'm going to put this out there. We here at Top 5 do not judge. No judgment. So if that is your lifestyle, to each his own, or to each her own.
Yeah. Everyone has their own opinion.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
We're not all the same, but we all have our own opinion.
Yeah, everybody has to live the way it works for them. Like there is no judgment. For me personally, it's a no. But for other people, like no judgment at all. None.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You do you, and I'll do you.
A very interesting hour, guys, and it is exactly 59 minutes and 50 seconds. The show kind of took its own form, which is great. We love that. Thank you to all the men that joined the program today. We loved having you with us. Thank you for joining us, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you for having me.
See everybody back next Sunday. Bye.